In today's video, I'm going to be covering glitches that still work in Pokemon Legends Arceus. That includes new ones like duplicating items and infinite money, viewer comments like escaping death, and old ones like hyperspeed. All that and more on this episode of Game Breakers. We're starting off with the most insane glitch. If a Pokemon is able to evolve, you have to go in the menu and manually press it. Pay close attention to the check summary option right next to it. This text will move one singular pixel depending on whether or not the evolved text is active. Yep, the best glitch right there. All jokes aside, this is probably the best glitch you can still do in Legends Arceus. Infinite grit rocks, pebbles, and dust. So basically infinite money. When releasing a Pokemon you've caught, you may get one of these items, but now you can get hundreds with only a few boxes of them. You need to talk to Ingo in Jubilife Village to release the Pokemon, as the regular pasture people won't work on this glitch. You'll also need to beat the game and reach the Daybreak part of the post-game, which is completing request 102, and it starts at 95 by the way. That way, Ingo opens up new battles and 2 battle pass you can do. This also opens up the option to select Pokemon from his menu. I'd recommend catching a bunch of Pokemon you don't mind releasing, saving in front of Ingo, and talking to him. This may get kind of confusing, but stay with me, it's worth it. Go into your boxes and release one Pokemon. It doesn't matter what, but you won't be getting them back. After the first one is gone, release another single Pokemon between the levels of 10 and 25. This places a Grit Rock or Pebble at the beginning of our loot list, which is what we need. From this point, do not leave the box screen and release all the Pokemon you're able to, but keep a few to release later. Releasing all these will give you a bunch of those rocks and pebbles, which will now be duplicated. Now back out to the text screen. Ingo will let you know what items you got, you'll get a single item, and then large stacks of rocks and pebbles. This is where the glitch comes into play. Go back to select Pokemon and release a single one again. Back out to the text screen, and boom. The game acts like you just released all those boxes of Pokemon and gives you all those items again. You can now repeatedly go back into the boxes, release one, and back out to the menu. Just make sure you never stop talking to Ingo or the glitch will correct itself. I released a few rows of single pokes, got all my items, and went to check the count. When all was said and done, I got 1,745 grit dust, which spilled over into my storage because you can only hold 999 of an item, 376 grit gravel, 437 grit pebbles, and 70 grit rocks. Grit pebbles sell for 800 Pokédollars a piece, and the rocks are 3,000 each. And I got a boatload of these items, even after just a couple of rounds of the glitch. Within 10 minutes, I made almost 1 million Pokédollars after selling everything. So you can see just how easy it is to either boost your Pokemon stats, or make boatloads of money fast. I only released 9 boxes of Pokemon, so imagine just how much you could get with more. This is an extremely useful glitch, and again, probably the best this game has to offer. You just have to beat the game first and do the massive mass outbreak investigations to get there. Ever wanted to escape death? In the game, I mean. Well, now you can, thanks to a comment by Ranver Singh. By pulling out the Braviary Flute Pokemon right before slamming into the ground, you can ignore death and any fall damage. Obviously, when falling from a high place, you can pull out Braviary anytime to save yourself from fall damage. However, if you time it just right with your character smacking the ground and pressing plus to pull them out, both Dying and Braviary will activate at the same time. You'll see them flash on screen for a brief moment and then you'll just be on the ground, perfectly fine. You can even hear the death chime that plays when taking too much damage. It's fun to do, but also very high risk, as you're risking death and dropping items you have in your inventory. It doesn't work with the other flute Pokemon, as you can get the same effect by timing your plus button press, but since the other flute Pokemon take fall damage with you anyway, the game still kills you. Braviary is the only one who can save you, as you're supposed to fly with him anyway. So not worth doing all the time, but a neat party trick to confuse and impress others. Kinda like I'm doing right now. On the topic of flute Pokemon, there's a strange thing you can do with Sneasler. Normally, you use them to climb up cliffs and steep slopes. At the top of them, you'll get a little hop up animation, but occasionally, you don't. So you kinda just get this no animation thing and the game just tosses you onto the ledge. You still have the same movement, but without Sneasler's climbing animation, it just looks odd. I'm not sure how to consistently get this bug, but grabbing onto the top of an edge of a ledge seems to work the best. Since you're already at the climbing point where you'd get the hop-up animation, the game gets a little confused while you're still grabbing onto the edge and just throws you up there. Nothing crazy, but I've run into this bug a fair amount of times while playing, so I imagine you guys have too. Here's sort of an interesting one. Alex Cowan commented on my last video about this one, and it takes place in Obsidian Fieldlands. At the Heights camp, there's a lady sitting down next to the fire. By walking over her feet, you'll notice that your character trips between the two objects and disables collision and the ability to interact with people. You're now able to walk inside of the woman and Professor Levington, as well as all the Pokemon you throw at yourself. I'm getting eaten by Garchomp. But unfortunately, this glitch is kinda inconsistent and doesn't last very long. I can't figure out what corrects the glitch, but I think it's just a timing thing. After you step out of the way of the people or Pokemon, you'll go back to normal pretty quickly. You can do this in other areas pretty easily, like the clothing shop lady, Anth. If you just dive or run in between her and the table, the same thing will trigger. You can basically just stand inside her, but again, the effect dies off pretty quickly. This leads me to believe that this isn't really a glitch, but just a way of the game making sure that you don't get stuck somewhere. If the NPCs kept their collision while walking over their feet, you may have just gotten stuck in place. I think it's just the game's way of saying, hey, get out of there, and helps you get unstuck. Still, it's a fun feature to mess around with and can definitely help create some weird moments. So let me know if you think this is a glitch or not, because I'm really not sure. Solid Snake is me brought this one up, saying that there's a rock you can clip inside of. Head to Cornet Highlands near the Celestica Trail. There's a stretch of land where Alpha Steelix hangs around. The rock formations here are a tad buggy. There's one rock near the top of the mound that doesn't have the correct collision lined up, so you can just walk inside of it. If you adjust yourself just right, you can completely go invisible inside of it. Looks funny to see your head sticking out of the side too. The other part of the comment says that they use it to avoid Pokemon spotting them in a space-time distortion, but most of the Pokemon around me were able to see me. Granted, I was trying to get their attention, but hiding in the rock wouldn't make them go away. Like I said, most of the rock piles around this area are the same design, so you can hide in multiple rocks. I got this one while an Onyx was watching me, and it caused this. Onyx felt left out of the party and wanted to clip inside the rock too. It looked so funny to me, and he couldn't really touch me either. So yeah, you can use it to avoid Pokemon seeing you, but it isn't completely foolproof. If they do spot you, you can avoid their attacks, except for the ones that have range, like the rock throw one I got hit with. But regular charging attacks, they can't touch you. So, if you happen to have a space-time distortion, you could get a lot out of this. But for regular Pokemon here, it's just more of a goofy trick you can do. Moving on to another comment I got from the James Botsko. He said if we go to double jump on Basculegon just before we hit the water, you can get this little bug to happen. So normally you can ride around in the water on this guy and jump twice. You'll also notice that his purple aura around him when he's doing the second. Well, if we go to jump again right before he lands back in the water, you will do the second jump, get the purple aura, and a weird jerking animation. It also allows us to double jump again, meaning you can chain these jumps together. Now in terms of this being a glitch, I mean, it kinda is. You can get the purple effect during your technical first jump out of the water, which normally doesn't happen, along with just the start of the double jump animation, so his neck twitches a little. James Botsko also mentioned this may be a faster way of moving in water than just regular jumping, so I put it to the test. I raced from the beach of Cobalt Coastlands to the stone arch in the background 3 different times. The first was just holding down the dash button, the second while performing regular double jumps the whole way down, and the third with the new glitched movement. Turns out the 2 double jump runs finished at the exact same time, with the regular dash taking the cake for the fastest. So no, it doesn't make you swim any faster, but it's still a neat little glitch to do while you're surfing around. Moving on to some minor glitches I came across while playing, I'm going to show off a few clips I recorded right off my Switch now, as they kind of just happened. But Switch clips have pretty poor quality, so please bear with me. While I was out catching Pokemon and completing tasks for the Pokedex, I had a weird graphic bug twice in a row. The tasks popped up on the top left corner when I completed them, but the icons for the Pokemon themselves were messed up. There was a large white ring floating around the Pokemon and its face was covered a little bit. It got fixed when the second completed task popped up, but then immediately after I caught a different Pokemon and the same thing occurred. I think it has something to do with 2 tasks popping up at the same time, as it happened for both instances here, but I'm not positive. It makes the Pokemon look kind of funny though. We still have a few more glitches to cover, but if you saw my first video on this game, they may look a little familiar. I was debating on including glitches I've already covered, but a good chunk of them are still possible, and since this is about a video on glitches that still work, I wanted to throw them back in, just in case you didn't see that vid, and so this one's complete with everything. I'll be covering them kind of quickly though, so don't worry. This was my personal favorite glitch from the last video, as it's just such a strange and unique one. The Pearl Clan Exploding. In Alabaster Icelands, head over to the Pearl Settlement. Near the top section, you should find Arita hanging out by this ledge. You may have completed her side quest already, so she might not be there anymore, but I'm pretty sure it still works anyway. But we don't have to interact with her, simply run around in circles. That's it. Stay pretty close to her while having your camera set in this direction, and pretty soon you'll start to notice the hoods of the 2 NPCs in the background growing. A lot. For some reason, every time you complete a lap around her, they just keep getting bigger and bigger. They get so big that they block out the sun and eventually take up the whole screen. They stay like this until you either pan the camera away or get too close to the action. Not entirely sure what causes it and if it's possible in other areas of the game, but I think this spot next to Arita is perfectly where the trigger for rendering these hoods is. And by looping around her, we repeatedly trigger them to load. Not 100% sure though, but I am sure this glitch is ridiculous. Hyperspeed. By combining the animation of your character sliding off a slope and a Pokemon attacking you, you can skew your movement and run way faster than normal. Start by finding a steep slope and an angry, wild Pokemon. Just as one goes to attack you, climb up the slope until you slip and slide back down. If you time it right and take damage at the same time that you fall, your character will start moving around in weird ways. You can run fast, the model won't be facing the correct way some of the time, you can dive in place, and the best part, running up slopes. Even ones that you normally couldn't climb without Sneasler. It's just super fun to fly around the map and all over the mountains. Be careful not to take damage or fall off things, as that'll correct the glitch. Other than that though, you have a lot of freedom with this, and it's fairly easy to perform once you understand how to do it. Flying Snorlax. Who knew this large lad was capable of such heights? To get this glitch, we need to find an Alpha 1 in Obsidian Fieldlands, just below Lake Verity. Have him follow you down along the river and back up onto this ledge. There's a corner here that we need to get him stuck in. Have him lunge at you and then fall below. If you get stuck in an animation like this off the ground, that's how we know we got it. Now when he goes to lunge again, start walking off to the left and guide him up the hill. He'll eventually get shoved out of the corner with a bunch of speed and ramp up high in the air. He'll stay hanging out up there and you can fly up and mess around with him. He's stuck up there until he tries to run around, which will snap him back down to the ground. There are flying Pokemon in this game, but I did not expect Snorlax to be one of them. Next up is a very minor one, getting Pokemon out of bounds. Similar to that one rock collision bug, you can throw Pokemon in a little gap and they'll spawn out of bounds. By the worn bridge in Obsidian Fieldlands, there is this cliffside. Pull out your Pokemon and hover your crosshair around this patch in the wall. When the icon pops up, throw them on out and they'll spawn inside the wall. Larger boys will have their heads stick out the side, but the small ones will go completely invisible. Not much else to say about this one. I wish you could join them out of bounds, but no real way is possible that still works. So, there you have it. Glitches in Pokemon Legends Arceus that still, to this day, work. If you have the game and you're on the latest 1.1.1 version, these will all work. I hope you enjoyed this and have fun trying these out for yourself. Hopefully Nintendo doesn't hit us with another update for the game and patch all these out. Also, thanks to everyone who commented on my last video letting me know about some of the glitches you saw in this one. They were really helpful and pretty much the entire reason I made this part 2 follow-up video. But for now, I'm gonna get up out of here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, see ya!